Welcome to Local Matters, the official La Vergne podcast. I'm Anne Smith, Public Information Officer for the City of La Vergne, and today I have with me Director of Human Resources, Andrew Patton. Andrew has been with the city since 2021. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Anne.
So, you are the Director of Human Resources. Tell me about your department. What are some of the day-to-day tasks that you and your team work on?
I am. So, as Director of Human Resources, my job is to oversee basically anything that involves an employee with the city. I also serve as the risk manager for the city, which is a job that entails dealing with our insurance companies, identifying risks, our safety committees, those kinds of things. But the day-to-day job of an HR director is very varied. It is not the same from day to day, but we try to obviously enhance the experience of our employees. I tell people often that my goal for them is to come to work, have a great time while they're here, be able to do their job safely, and go home. Like, if they do those four things, it's a good day for all of us. And so I have a team of 4 other individuals besides myself. Payroll is under HR, and I have an HR generalist and an assistant. And then about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we launched a new role called Employee Engagement Administrator. And so that's what makes up our HR team.
So tell me about the Employee Engagement Administrator. I know that that's Leah. What does she do for the employees? How does that improve our quality of life, if you will?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I wanted to do in coming to the city was identify, again, how we could enhance the experience of each employee. Obviously, in HR, you think about that we deal with, onboarding and benefits and payroll and, the side that everybody thinks about in discipline and all of that. However, I wanted to have somebody that also focused on the engagement side of things. So Leah handles all of our events, both our monthly events and our sort of 2 really large all-city events, which are Thanksgiving and Christmas. She's responsible for all of those. She also heads up our safety committee, so she does a lot of work for me on the risk management side. And people may think, well, that's not like a fun part of someone's job. Well, yes, but it is very important in the safety portion to make sure that the environments that all of our employees work in are safe on a day-to-day basis. So she does a lot of that. She also handles all of our exit interviews when people leave. She also handles a lot of our onboarding details. So you will meet Leah if you come to work for the city. You will meet her on day 1. And whenever you decide to leave the city, you will see her on your last day as well.
And I know she's done a lot of really cool events. Like, we just recently had a mental health awareness event where, she brought in vendors with different organizations. And I know that that's very popular amongst the employees to be able to take even just an hour to come and not only meet with other employees, but get to, in this case, talk with mental health vendors.
Yeah, and I think mental health, it's a huge topic that's super important. I think in the HR world, in the last 3 to 5 years, it's become a prominent topic. Growing up in the business world, it was not a topic that we really ever talked about. But again, the experience of how you come to work mentally, I always talk about the fact that when we work with people, we really work with them holistically. You don't leave your outside life at the door when you come in. What happens outside affects your job, and what happens at your job affects when you go home. So mental health is a big component of what we did. And so, yes, Leah put together a mental health day, and we had a number of very, very important vendors from Rutherford County and from the Middle Tennessee area come in, and our employees had the opportunity to both learn about their services, but also just kind of take a break. The room was filled with painting activities and planting activities and things that sort of just allow everyone to take a breath throughout the day.
So let's talk jobs.
Okay.
There's a lot of opportunities within the city over, of course, the course of a year. But if someone were to apply, what can they kind of expect from the HR team?
Absolutely. So to start, our city website has all of our job postings. It's not a very difficult application, and we would love to talk with you or welcome you if you're looking for a job and listening to this podcast. But when you apply, there's a series of steps that takes place. So our HR generalist on the team is also our recruiter. And so her job is to sort all the applications when they come in. We're looking at qualifications. So what does that particular job require as far as skill sets or certifications? So she's looking at all of those. She will be the one who will work with our department heads on setting up interviews. So if you're a candidate, your first step is obviously to apply. Then it's to get selected for an interview. And once that process takes place, she is setting up a panel of employees and leaders to do those interview process. Then a candidate is selected and maybe unique to someone who hasn't worked in government before. And certainly it's can be different in each town or county that you may work. But here in the city of La Vergne, the mayor holds the responsibility of doing the actual hiring and the actual separations. So once a department selects a candidate they want to hire, they let me know, and I put a package together for the mayor to review. And once we get the sign-off on that, then we're ready to start the process of hiring. And for most employees who would work for us, really except for the police department, I can talk about that in just a minute. For a regular employee who might work in Public Works or Parks and Rec or here at City Hall, you're going to go through a background. That background is going to be online. Again, it's an easy process. And once that is successfully completed, then you have a medical evaluation. And again, that medical evaluation is based on the job that you've applied for, right? So it's going to have varying degrees of elements that are a part of that. And once you complete that, now we're ready to have a start date and welcome you to your new role. I mentioned the police department just a moment ago, so that process is a little bit different in the sense that they have some exams that they take once you're selected. There's a physical fitness test that I probably could not pass.
Who could?
A lot of people, but not me. So they go through that process, and then there's an interview panel. There's a very extensive background if you want to be in law enforcement. They do a really detailed job to understand everything about your past and where you came from and what you have done or haven't done. And once that is completed, then the next steps to be a police officer would include a polygraph, a psychological evaluation, and then the medical evaluation. And then we're at their day one.
Talk about fire too, because I know that they also have a not necessarily maybe an agility course, I believe is what they call it.
Yep, they do. So fire, if you want to join the fire department, I would say maybe 95% of applicants have never been in fire services before, and so most people are going to come in with no experience. Once they apply, they're going to get selected for a testing, and then they're going to have an agility course that they're going to go through. Many of those sections involve, running, pulling equipment, climbing ladders, those kinds of things that you would think about in the fire department. And once those scores are successfully compiled and you're selected and you pass all the background, once you start, you're going to go to fire academy, right? And you're going to learn all the basics of the roles that you're going to be pertaining to. The police department does that as well, right? They go to the academy and get certified. And then for a fire employee or a police employee, they spend really the first year learning about their roles, often practicing the roles, learning from seasoned firefighters or police officers. We value those roles equally as we do all roles. Obviously, as a first responder, in many cases, you will experience things that that you and I wouldn't in our office jobs. And so there's a different level of equipping to make sure that those employees are ready to experience those types of tasks.
One of the things that you mentioned was that, of course, our mayor has hire and separation power. So I just wanted to clarify that while he has that, he usually kind of agrees with the department head when they make decisions. He's more involved in those department head decisions if we're looking for a new department head or a police chief, fire chief, etc.
Yeah, absolutely correct. So any place you work, there is somebody that is making that final yes, right? And in our government style, that happens to be the mayor. And you're right in saying that when you talk about a director level role, like my role, I interviewed with the mayor as well as the panel, right? But for anyone other than a director, the mayor is responsible to review the recommendation. Often he will review the actual application and the resume. And in my tenure here with the city, I can't think of many, if any, applicants that have not gotten a yes to move forward. In this mayor's administration, he very much believes in the departments and the directors that run them, which is really, really important. If you have a job and you have a micromanager boss, you know that job is, one that you probably dread at times. And I think what is really important in this conversation is the fact that our department heads are selected because of their skill set, their time in their service to the city, in their leadership ability, and the best way to help them grow is to believe in their ability to staff their departments with people that they believe will fit the culture and the job requirements. So we back them from the HR department, and I know the mayor does as well.
So when that person gets selected, we go through an onboarding process, which I know is, I believe, fairly unique not only to HR but to a municipality. So it's called the huddle. So tell me about the huddle.
It is. So when I came here to the City of La Vergne, my team will tell you that often they have heard the phrase, if somebody says, oh, we've always done it that way, you can pretty much count that Andrew's going to try to revise it or change it. So our onboarding process was exactly that, in the sense that, in the past, what we've done is on somebody's first day, they're sitting with usually one representative and kind of getting a crash course in the basics of employment within the city in a 2 or 3 hour period. In some of our conversations with hires during that period, we learned that they wanted to feel more connected to their teams. They wanted to understand more about city operations. And quite honestly, on your day one, you just simply don't remember much, right? Because it's all new. And so we decided to completely build a brand new process. And we call it Huddle. And it is a sports-themed orientation. I am a dad of 4, so I fully embrace the dad joke mentality. And when we launched Huddle, I said, we decided we would be cheesy in our graphics and in our naming of each section, so we fully embraced it. So Huddle is a day-long orientation. So a new employee will come to City Hall and we'll start in the morning, and we go all day long with information, trainings. We handle all of their initial paperwork that you'll need to do when you start a new job. We also teach them about our timekeeping system and how that operates. We go through some really important trainings that all employees go through annually. As a new employee, it's most likely you've missed that annual training. So we catch them up on sexual harassment, workplace violence. We talk about safety with chemicals in the workplace. Some things that we want you to understand. Here are federal guidelines. Here's the city's stance on those things. And we want you to understand them and kind of sign off on them before we ever start the job. So that's a part of our day. But uniquely, a part of our day is also every new employee is assigned a buddy. And that buddy goes with them for that first week. We wanted each employee to have someone that they could, pull aside or call or text that maybe wasn't their supervisor to say, like, tell me again where I put my time card, or tell me again where the restrooms are. Where do I put my keys? I forgot what my locker number was. Things that you just maybe don't want to go to your supervisor and say. We wanted them to have a buddy to do that. So in each department, our directors have, sort of voluntold some really quality employees that they would be assigned to kind of mentor in this process. So in the morning of the huddle day, they meet their buddy, and they spend about 15 minutes just sharing little stories about themselves. And then when we break for lunch, rather than just saying, like if you were a new employee, just saying, well, you have an hour for lunch and we'll see you back here, we take the director and the buddy and anybody else that director wants to bring from the department, and they all go out to lunch with the new employee. So you have an hour to talk to your new team, to talk to your new supervisor. It's wonderful time for our managers one-on-one that, quite honestly, when you're doing the job every day, You simply don't get a lot of time with every single person to just learn about them and learn about their skill sets and anything else they would want to share. So I think that's really unique to the onboarding process. And then at the end of the day, at the end of our huddle, we do what we call stadium tours, which is just building, another cheesy joke, just building tours, right? So if we hire somebody in codes and engineering, we want them to understand that while they're at City Hall for onboarding, here's what happens at City Hall, and here's where your job might need the resources that are in this building. However, we're going to take you to your building. We're going to walk you through your building. We're going to introduce you to everybody that works in that building during that tour. We're also going to make sure you know where the closest fire department is, or fire station, where the police department is, how you access those resources, where our library is. Things that, again, not assuming that any new employee would know anything about where buildings are, we want them to feel when they go home on that first day, both tired and that they can come back on day 2 feeling like they know their supervisor, they know their team, they know where they're going to work, they've seen it all, and now they can enter on that second day of employment and feel like, okay, this is my team. This is my desk. I saw it yesterday. I'm familiar. And now I'm ready to start learning my role.
Like I said, it's a very unique process. So I think it's a very cool process that we go through for each employee. And one thing that you didn't mention is that it's only every other week. So we're not doing this every single day of the week for new hires.
You are correct. Because when we built it, it takes a lot of effort and energy, which we're happy to do. But we do hire every other Monday. And so we are coming up here in a couple of weeks on a very large hire date, which I always get excited about when you kind of mix a bunch of new hires all together. But if there is a new hire, we do huddle every other Monday. So my team gets 1 week when we're not doing onboarding and 1 week when we're fully committed to it.
Which is different. I feel like if I were applying for a job anywhere else, I would just be onboarded
whatever
day we all decide is a great day.
That's right.
I think that's something that's really cool that the city, and obviously specifically HR, does for our employees. So let's talk training and development. I know that's another big thing that HR does, and you do a great leadership training program for our supervisors, leaders, directors, people like that, and I think it's quarterly.
Almost. We do about 3 a year.
Okay, so trimesterly?
Yeah. I would say this related to training. Without training, companies, cities, organizations are simply not able to be fully successful. There was a time, I think, in our corporate culture where we believed that if you worked somewhere long enough, you worked your way into a management position, and therefore you became that manager and could help that team grow. The reality is many of those people never had any training in people skills. They could do the job. They knew all the ins and the outs of that particular role, but they've never been taught how to lead some other human, right? And that's a passion of mine that I love to do. You said that I do a great job at it. I don't know that everybody would agree with that. However, it is really important. And so in 2022, I built the La Vergne Leadership Series. That's the training that you're referencing. We do it 3 times a year when we sort of just call a timeout in our directors' day-to-day jobs, and we pull them together for an entire day worth of training. We cover multiple topics and multiple levels of a deep dive. So part of that training idea is that you could attend a training day, much like you could attend a seminar, a webinar, listen to a podcast, go to a conference, and feel like you've sort of had that mountaintop experience. What I try to do, though, is at times achieve that and realize that the mountaintop experience is great. Very few things grow on the top of a mountain. They grow in the valley where the water flows down to and things can happen. And so I like to take our trainings deeper to give our managers and supervisors practical skills that they can leave that training with and go do tomorrow. On Monday, start their meetings differently. Think about engagement in a different manner or the importance of risk reduction. So we try to make it both engaging and entertaining for our leaders, but also very practical for them. So we've done that for the last couple of years. The city administrator keeps asking me to do it. So this year in 2024, we haven't done them yet, but we will be doing 3 this year. And really, really excited because we have not only a great group of leaders here at the city. In the last couple of years, we've actually brought on more external directors than maybe the city's had in the past. And so you get new personalities, new skill sets, new vision for things. And we are able to tap into that. So this year we'll have, I won't be doing all of the teaching. We'll have some of my peers doing some teaching. We'll bring in some external guests. And I'm really excited for what we have to offer to our leaders in the training and development side.
Well, and if I remember correctly, the very first leadership training that you did was just director level. It was very small. It was an intimate group of people. And I think the last one you did was what looked like 50 people.
Yeah, you're correct. So the first year we did just directors. In the second year, we included all of our frontline supervisors and managers. That would look like, battalion chiefs in the fire department, lieutenants in the police department. Again, people that lead other humans every day. And so our room grew to about 45 or 50 people, depending on the class. This year, spoiler alert, we're actually going, in 2024, we're going back to the first year concept, and we're just going back to the core of our senior leaders in the city. Again, just to refocus, refresh, and kind of replenish their ability to go back and pour into their leaders that are below them. So I'm excited about what we have in store this year.
That's awesome. Anything else? Anything else about HR that we haven't talked about that is really important to you or to your team?
Here's what I would say, Anne, and I think this is the same in every company, city, municipality. I spent most of my life in the private sector, and so, but all of these principles are the same. The HR team works really hard to create positive experiences. However, that team is also tasked with doing difficult things. And so one of the things that I've strived to do, and talking to my peers around the state in other municipalities, I hear the exact same thing. And that is that we want to also get across that our team, while we do hard things and we have hard conversations, we're also a fun, safe team. And so we're inviting more and more people to stop by HR. Typically the phrase is, I don't want to go to HR. That's like going to the principal's office. Mm-hmm. We're trying to not have that be the case. We'd love for you to come by. If you are a citizen in the city, stop by City Hall and say hello. Happy to meet you and tell you about what we do. If you join our team as an employee, we're here to support you. And those conversations, I think, could be much more plentiful than they are currently. My team has a lot of bandwidth to just sit and encourage, talk with, listen to the life of an employee and what they're doing. And I would just add that we very much are passionate. I am passionate about you as a member of our team. I'm passionate about your satisfaction in your job and at home and what you do on the outside of what you do here, because that's really important to us. I don't want HR to be viewed as just people that check boxes or look at people as numbers, because we're not, right? And we're also humans, so we make mistakes. But I think every HR team at every company can say that often we feel like there's, pitchforks and fire that's coming at us. And every once in a while, we'd love to be invited to your party and your celebration too. We'd be happy to come.
Well, and I think you've done a really good job with that, honestly, over the last, because my office, people won't know this, but my office faces your office. So I actually see all the people who come and go, and the amount of foot traffic just alone. I obviously don't know what conversations you're having, but the foot traffic has increased so much in the last few years, just from the years previous. And that's nothing wrong with the other HR directors. It's just you do have an ability to talk to people in a way that makes them feel very comfortable. And I think that they appreciate that.
Well, I will take that. Thank you. I will take that, because that is a goal of mine, that becomes the structure of how our team engages with people. We're the one department in the city that represents every single employee. Every other department has a group of people that work at Public Works or work at the library or work at economic development. We support everybody. And so our door can be a revolving door because everybody or anybody can come by and ask a question or get some updated paperwork or stop by for candy, whatever it is that they're going to come by for. And that's a unique factor of HR departments, that we do support everybody. And so our door can be busy. My calendar is full, but we are always available if you need something as an employee to stop by. And that would include you.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. We've been talking with Director of Human Resources, Andrew Patton. For more information on the City of La Vergne, for a list of open jobs, or for just more information about the Human Resources Department, visit lavernetn.gov. Until next time, I'm Anne Smith. Thanks for joining us.